Travis Reier, the BamaOnline.com staff, checking in from Coleman Coliseum just after Friday's media observation period at Spring Practice 2016. The Crimson Tide in shorts, shoulder pads, and helmets. It is the Coaches Clinic weekend, and looking around Coleman Coliseum here, amazing the setup, and it has to be because hundreds of coaches are on hand right now at practice, and just looking around the Coliseum, the setup, grease boards everywhere, tables. Looks like they had lunch in here. Obviously, guest speakers like Tony Dungy, Bill Polian, Steve Spurrier, Frank Beamer. We saw Bill Polian out at practice just a minute ago, the former NFL front office exec. So some big names, as you might expect, for the annual Coaches Clinic at the University of Alabama. As far as practice itself, we saw about what you normally see out there from an injury standpoint. Looked like Dalvin Tomlinson was back on the practice field. Dalvin missed Wednesday's workout as a result of being ill. Didn't see Da'Shawn Hand out there. Da'Shawn missed Wednesday's practice also, a defensive lineman with back spasms. Again, crazy crowd out there, but watching them go in units during some teamwork early in practice. Didn't see Dalvin in a first-team nickel look. Now, that nickel look did include two defensive linemen. You had Dalvin Tomlinson, Deron Payne as the inside tackles. You had Tim Williams and Ryan Anderson on the outside. You had Sean Dion Hamilton, Reuben Foster in there at the inside linebackers. Your nickel back was Maurice Smith. The corners, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Marlon Humphrey. And the safeties, Eddie Jackson and Ronnie Harrison. So we did see that look. The second team defensive line, again, just in a nickel look, was Josh Frazier and O.J. Smith in there at those tackle spots. So a little bit of info there for you. On the defensive front right now, with Jonathan Allen obviously limited and out, although we saw him some in individual drills, and he looks really good. He's doing some things. So I would guess his return is very much on track. Probably even as much precautionary at this point than anything else. So with Da'Shawn Hand out, kind of a thin group, but those are the types of things we saw. And conversely, on the offensive line, Corin Curvin at left tackle. We saw Lester Cotton at left guard, Ross Pierce-Baker at center. Right guard with the first unit was Brandon Kennedy. Right tackle, you had the true freshman, Jonah Williams. So that looked to be your first group with the offensive line out there this afternoon. The second group going from, I guess you could say, right to left. I guess Matt Womack at right tackle. At right guard, you had Alphonse Taylor. At center, J.C. Hassenauer. Left guard was Dallas Warmack. And your second team left tackle was Bradley Bozeman, a veteran swingman. He's played multiple positions up front. So saw him at left tackle again. Cam Robinson obviously out, similar to Jonathan Allen, not doing much out there. So interesting going into tomorrow's scrimmage with those situations, both offensively and defensively. Quarterback obviously still very much up for grabs. I think it's a big day tomorrow for Blake Barnett. We've heard a lot about Cooper Bateman and David Cornwell playing pretty well in scrimmage number one. I've talked to people who were there, and Blake simply turned the ball over too much. Not only that, but for scores. So it's a bounce-back day for Blake Barnett. Say that 3 times real fast. But a little bit of a tongue twister, but he needs to show that he can respond to that kind of performance in a positive way and get himself really back in the mix. I don't think he's out of it by any means, but certainly, he wants to draft at least those other two and not get into a situation where there's a noticeable gap between himself and the lead pack, so to speak. So Jalen Hurts obviously still in that as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes out of tomorrow's scrimmage. But plenty of storylines going into it, but it does start with the quarterback position, obviously the running backs. Can we see Bo Scarborough have another kind of performance like he had last week with 132 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns? Maybe a little bit more of Damian Harris this week, perhaps, at that position. So plenty of things to look at and talk about as we head into tomorrow's scrimmage. Again, from a health standpoint, team looks to be in pretty good shape, and there's a lot going on right now at the university. Got softball going on, This weekend, Van Studeman, the former Alabama assistant coach, brings the Mississippi State softball team to Tuscaloosa to take on Patrick Murphy's club. First game tonight over at Rhodes Stadium. Alabama on a roll right now after winning 2 of 3 from then number 1 Florida on the road last weekend in Gainesville. Can they keep it going against a Mississippi State team that comes in here with a 2-7 mark in SEC play? So you've got that going on. We'll have plenty of coverage from a football standpoint. I did shoot some video today. It was a little tough with all the coaches out there. And I will say this, I've been kind of an antagonist when it comes to the coaches clinic in terms of the legitimacy of some of the attendees in terms of, are these people really coaches? But I'll say that it looked like out there today, most of those guys were coaches. It didn't look like a miniature A-Day out there today. So there you go. I know you were very, very interested in that take. But again, plenty to talk about. Charlie Potter with a practice update coming. I will have some video. We will be at tomorrow's scrimmage, obviously. Expect a live update this week from the scrimmage. Didn't have one last week. We'll do one tomorrow after the media observation period. And that'll probably be sometime between 1:30 and 2 o'clock Central. So we'll plan on having that for you tomorrow afternoon during the early afternoon, and obviously plenty of updates throughout the afternoon and evening as well. But keep it right here on our Facebook home for Bama Online, and of course BamaOnline.com, as we continue to update you on the Alabama Crimson Tide.